So before I get into my review, I actually got this pack of Pokemon trading cards before I went into the movie, so I'm going to finally open this up and see what I got in here. See if it's anything worth keeping or trading, like the old days. Let's see what we got. We've got Detective Pikachu. Not bad. We also have Magikarp, single most useless Pokemon ever. Hold still. I'm sure that's a great move to use in battle. And some Pokemon merch stuff. Oh, trip down memory lane. Pokémon Detective Pikachu is a live-action adaptation to the Pokémon franchise and is also based off of the Detective Pikachu video game. Like most people, I grew up a big Pokémon fan, although for me, I was really only a fan of Generation 1 Pokemon. After that, I kind of strayed away from the franchise a little bit. I followed a little bit of the Johto region. After that, though, is when I really lost track of Pokemon. I don't even really know where they're at right now with it. But this being a live-action adaptation to Pokemon, you have Ryan Reynolds as the voice of Pikachu. I was like, I think this is a movie I need to see. But at the same time, I was thinking to myself, this is a live-action adaptation to a Japanese animation. It's also a video game film adaptation. This has the recipe for disaster. Thankfully, though, I gotta say, this actually ended up being a very enjoyable movie. So the movie centers around this kid named Tim, who's played by Justice Smith, who was in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, a movie I really shit on him for. Yeah, if you've seen that review, you'll know that I was really not nice to Justice Smith at all. But in this movie, he is an insurance agent. He used to be a Pokemon trainer, but he gave up on that. He now goes back to Rhyme City because he has learned his father, who was a detective, was killed during an investigation. So he goes to Rhyme City, which in this universe is a place where Pokemon battles are illegal. It's meant to be a place where Pokemon and people coexist. They thrive off one another. They bring out the best in one another. And as he gets into Rhyme City and he's doing some digging in his father's apartment, he meets a talking Pikachu voiced by Ryan Reynolds. Get right into what I liked about this movie. It is really cool seeing a live-action Pokemon universe, because it really does bring back the nostalgia. You know, if you've played any of those video games, if you've watched any of the cartoon series, it really did look like what you've always felt it would be like. Pokemon basically serving the role of wild animals. The cities they go to are really high-tech, kind of futuristic looking. Like, when you see Rhyme City for the first time, you're kind of sitting there like, this is probably what Tokyo would be like if Pokemon were real. Now getting into the performances in this movie, I will say this right now, Justice Smith and Ryan Reynolds both do really well here. This is clearly the role that was meant for Justice Smith, because I like seeing his storyline, really see the struggle that he's kind of dealt with. I mean, his mom died when he was young, his father really wasn't around because his interest was more in Pokemon, and when he became an investigator, he kind of just forgot about his son. Now he learns his dad is probably dead, which has him feeling like he's not going to get a chance to rekindle any kind of relationship with his dad. Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, though, was easily the best part of this movie. Ryan Reynolds, he just crushes it in these kind of roles. The way he voices Pikachu, it's basically kind of like a PG version of Deadpool. You know, he's witty, he's sarcastic, he's cracking jokes, but, you know, he's doing it in a very kid-friendly way, and what I like seeing is Ryan Reynolds can deliver in that. You gotta give Ryan Reynolds a lot of credit for being able to be kid-friendly, but also really funny at the same time. I really love seeing the chemistry between the two of them. You discover that Tim is the only one who can understand this Pikachu. You learn that this Pikachu was apparently his father's Pokemon. And Pikachu even says to Tim, it's like, look, we can understand each other. You can talk to people, I can talk to Pokemon. Let's figure out what happened to your dad. Maybe, just maybe, there's more to the story. Maybe he's alive. And from here, we get a lot more of an exploration on some of the Pokemon. And again, it brings out some nostalgia. There's that one scene with a Mr. Mime that's actually pretty funny. There's also a point in the movie where Tim, in order to get information, has to battle another Pokemon trainer in like this underground illegal Pokemon tournament. So he's gonna have Pikachu fight this guy's Charizard. The problem is Pikachu has no idea how to use any of his attacks anymore because his memory has been wiped. Again, it leads to another moment that actually had me laughing a lot more than I thought it was going to. I did not expect this movie to be as funny as it would. I figured somewhere along the lines it would end up being a little more cringe funny than it would be actual funny, but this movie really did bring the laughs. As we delve more into the investigation, we discover that there's this gas that's been released that makes makes Pokemon act a lot more aggressively. That's apparently been something these scientists have been working on. Apparently Tim's father got some information on that, which is beginning to make them wonder, okay, maybe that's what's led to his disappearance. Eventually they recruit this girl Lucy, who Tim has a crush on. She has a Psyduck who's, always dealing with a hay because, it's Psyduck. I was really proud of myself with how much I remembered these Pokemon references. I really thought I forgot most of it, but it's watching all this stuff again. I'm just like, ooh, hey. I remember that. I felt like Captain America in that scene in the Avengers when they referenced the flying monkeys, and he's all like, hey, I got that reference. But soon enough, the two Pokemon, they reach this lab where they discover this group of scientists created Mewtwo. It reminds me of that opening scene in Mewtwo Strikes Back. We have the scientists, and they got Mewtwo in this chamber, and then he broke out and destroyed the lab and, wanted to take over the world. But soon they discover right here that apparently Tim's father was actually working to try to save Mewtwo, try to free Mewtwo. And when that happened, eventually on the way, after Tim's father got in that car accident, which people thought killed him, Mewtwo showed up. He did something. He just took away Tim's father, and he apparently wiped his Pikachu's memory away. So now you're beginning to see, okay, Mewtwo is apparently behind this somehow. The question is, what were his intentions? Was Mewtwo good? Was what Mewtwo doing evil? Or is it like in the first Pokemon movie? Mewtwo felt what he was doing was good, but the way he was going about it was bad. Eventually on the way, the group gets attacked by a bunch of Greninja, a Pokemon I only know from Super Smash Brothers. Yeah, again, didn't keep up with Pokemon that far into it, so I don't know who some of them were. But eventually on the way, Lucy's Psyduck completely loses it with its headache, which means psychic powers, which unleash a massive, giant psychic shockwave that saves them all from everything. Soon enough, the group encounters Mewtwo after he saves Pikachu, who got wounded from the Greninja. But it's at this point Mewtwo gets captured by the guy who's been running Rhyme City. It's also finally right here you realize that this guy has apparently been behind this whole thing. His goal was to create this R drug that, gets Pokemon infuriated, makes them more, docile. And originally his goal was to have Pokemon and humans live in harmony, but now his ultimate goal is to basically fuse them together to make the ultimate species. So he uses the drug on Mewtwo, he fuses his consciousness into Mewtwo, and now as Mewtwo, he's going around Rhyme City, he's putting all these people into their Pokemon. And now at this point, Tim and Pikachu know, it's like, okay, we gotta disconnect this dude from his connection with Mewtwo, because once Mewtwo is free, he can fix all of this, and he can stop this guy, but we have to do that. Now Pikachu has to take on Mewtwo in a Pokemon battle, which is, just a few steps up from Charizard. At this point though, Pikachu has gained some of his memory back. He has learned how to fight again. And what's interesting seeing, he does put up a bit of a fight with Mewtwo, but he's just not going to be enough to beat him. But it is long enough for him to distract him, so Tim severs a connection between the guy and Mewtwo. Now Mewtwo is free, that guy is stopped, he saves everyone from being fused with their Pokemon. So now everyone knows the truth. People now also see that Mewtwo was not an evil Pokemon, he was good, he was just being controlled. Or scientists were trying to control him rather, because he's the most powerful Pokemon. But now Mewtwo finally reveals to Tim what actually happened with his father. After the accident happened, what Mewtwo ended up doing in order to save his father was Mewtwo fused his father with his Pikachu, which erased the Pikachu's memory, but it put his father's consciousness into Pikachu. And now with that being done, Mewtwo undoes that fuse, and you quickly discover that the Pikachu was just a normal Pikachu, but it had his father's consciousness, and now we have a real-life Ryan Reynolds as Tim's father. So now it finally clicks with you, and you realize, oh, so Pikachu was Tim's father this whole time, basically. That's cool. And at this point, Tim has the opportunity to go back home, just go back to his normal life, but he decides, you know what, I think I'll stick around, I'll learn more about Pokemon, and you know what? I'll rekindle my relationship with Dad. He and Ryan Reynolds finally hug it out. They decide to work on the relationship together, and they've got Pikachu tagging along with them, and all is well. So all in all, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, it was a surprisingly good movie. Ryan Reynolds was great as Pikachu. Visually, Pikachu looked really good. Justice Smith and Ryan Reynolds both had really good chemistry together. I was able to buy this friendship that developed between them. Visually, the Pokemon in this movie looked really good. I liked how Rhyme City looked as a city. It harkened back to what I always thought Pokemon cities would be like. The Pokemon battles, the Pokemon action when it goes down is pretty awesome. The movie's really funny, it has heart. Few of the gripes I do have though are, one, the movie does have kind of a generic villain. The plot is a little bit familiar, no doubt about it. Some visuals in this movie, notably when the group are on the giant Torterra after they escape the Greninja. Visually it didn't look that great. I was looking at that, I'm just like, we're on a green screen right now. Also, the relationship between Tim and Lucy, I thought they could have built on that a little bit more. I mean, he clearly liked her, and you feel like she could like him back. I thought they could have done a little bit more there. Maybe form a bit more of a romance between them. Then again, Pikachu Ryan Reynolds was shitting on Justice Smith for being a bitch about, you know, not flirting with her, not, you know, trying to woo her or anything like that. So maybe the movie was intentionally going for that. But in the end, this is probably the best video game movie adaptation ever. That's really not saying much because video game adaptations are shit. But this is probably the first one I can say is a genuinely good movie. And if you're a Pokemon fan, this is definitely the kind of movie you've been waiting for. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.